You're listening to Wealthy-esque. We are a community of lawyers who believe that true wealth is having control of our time. I'm Ro Thomas, and as a busy wife, mom, and former Big Law associate, I know all too well the tension between the culture of the legal profession and pretty much everything else you want to do in life. That's why each week I'm bringing you the information and tools you need to improve your money mindset and manage your money to create true wealth. Because ultimately, it's not about the money. It's about the freedom and flexibility the money affords. Hey friend, welcome back to the show. I hope you're doing well and having an amazing day so far. Today, we are talking about how to stick to your budget, or I know some people prefer to call it a spending plan, so you can definitely call it that if you'd like. People tend to think of budgets as being restrictive. They dictate all the things that you can't do, right? I can't spend on this because I'm on a budget, or I can't go out because I'm on a budget. How often do you hear people say things like that? Or maybe you've thought things like that. That approach to budgets causes a lot of resistance when you're thinking about your finances. So what often happens is you'll make a budget thinking about all these things you can't do, right? All of these restrictions. And then you never look at it again because it's not fun. It's this thing that takes away all the things that you enjoy. And so the way you stick to a budget is you make it something that you want to stick to. I heard this really great explanation of how you can eat whatever you want and not gain weight. So the guy was really into fitness, but he was saying that even though he works out all the time, he eats a lot of junk food. So people always wonder how he's able to stay in shape. And he said it's just a math equation. You can figure out how many total calories and how much protein you need to maintain your body weight and your muscle mass. The protein you need will provide some of the total calories that you need. So then you can look at the difference between the total you need to maintain and then the amount of calories you're getting from the protein. And he said you can get those remaining calories from anywhere, whether it's a bunch of junk food like ice cream and candy and cookies and all of that, or more healthy foods. So for him, he likes junk food, and so he makes up the bulk of his remaining calories with junk food. So as long as he gets the amount of protein he needs and stays within the total calories needed to maintain his body weight, he doesn't gain weight. And he said he's been eating like that for years and he's maintained his weight and is still super fit because he understands how this system works. I am no expert in fitness or nutrition, so I don't know if that's really how it works, but it makes sense. And it's so similar to how personal finance works. So as you're putting together your budget, there are some things that you need, right? Like you need a place to live, you need food, you need transportation. So let's put in how much that stuff costs. And then you've got some other bills, you've got utilities, you've got internet, that kind of stuff. So let's put that in. And then from there, we can include the goals you have. So I want to save X amount by the end of the year, or I want to pay off Y amount of debt this month. Once you define those goals, because that's where a lot of people go wrong, right? They just say, I want to pay off more debt, or I want to save more, or I want to start investing. But it's this undefined goal. You have no idea where to start because you haven't decided what the amount is, what the actual tangible goal is that you're working toward. So decide how much you want to save, how much you want to invest, how much you want to pay off, whatever your goal is, because from there, you can make a plan of how much you're going to put toward the goal. So now you've got your needs, your bills in there, you've got how much you want to put toward your goals, and from there, you can spend however much you want on whatever else you want. The only constraint you have is the amount of money that you bring in the month. And if you want to spend more than what you typically make, then you can always make more money. So for example, I used to sell stuff online, especially when my kids were little. They would outgrow their clothes so quickly. Sometimes we would get multiples of things for them that we couldn't use, and I would sell the extras. My husband also got a second job at one point, so we were bringing in more money that way. Like I said, the only constraint you have in your spending is how much you bring in. And if you're not staying within that, that's how you end up in credit card debt and such. So you have this money left over that you can spend however you want to, and you can play with your numbers to have more money available for whatever you want to use more money for. So some people may decide to get an apartment or a house that's not as nice as what they could get, or to live with roommates to save on their housing costs. And then they can put that money toward other things, toward their goals, toward their spending, whatever it is. You can absolutely do that. Often, achieving your goals is not going to be a linear process. So a lot of times it's bumpy. There are different things that come up throughout the year where maybe you want to spend a little more this month, so you're going to save less. Or maybe I'm saving a bit more this month because there's not a whole lot going on. But next month there's this birthday trip or wedding, or I need to replace something. So I'm choosing to spend on that, and I'll be putting a little less toward my goals. But when you understand this equation, when you understand that the only constraint that you have is the amount of money that you bring in, and you decide how much you're going to spend on things like fixed expenses, necessities, bills, and how much you're going to put toward your goals, then you just have this big bucket of money to spend however you want to. So this is how people can spend thousands of dollars each month at bars and clubs and still save the amount they want. This is how people can spend thousands of dollars going out to eat each month or shopping or whatever their thing is and still be able to pay off their debt or achieve their other goals. When you approach your budget this way, you will inevitably stick to it because it's no longer this big bad thing restricting what you can and can't do. Instead, it's like, oh, hey, look at all this money I get to spend going out or going shopping or going to restaurants. You get to decide how you're going to use that money. And when you look at your budget as something that gives you the freedom to spend your money the way that you want to spend it, rather than this thing that tells you that you can't do this or you can't do that, you're going to be able to stay on track with it and not feel deprived and not feel like you have to rebel against the budget because you've just been trying to willpower your way through. So if this sounds like how you want to be managing your money, you want to have your necessities and goals covered and have a bucket of money that you can spend however you want to, just head to rothomas.com/call and let's talk about how we can work together. All right, so that's it for this week's episode. Come connect with me over on social media. I am most often on LinkedIn, Ro Thomas, and on Instagram at I am Ro Thomas. Subscribe to the show and leave a review, both of which help more people to find it. And think of a friend or two who would benefit from this information and share this episode with them. As we close out, friend, I pray that you take the information you learn here, apply it in your life, and open up to the realization that wealth is available to you. As you do that consistently, week after week, you'll continue to take steps to regain control of your time, build wealth, and live the life of freedom and choice you deserve. Talk to you later.